Good morning, students. This is going to be our lesson on perpendicular bisectors and perpendicular lines up for page 105 through 108. There are three things you're going to need. You're going to need to have a set square with you, a protractor, and a ruler. So this is what a set square is. If you don't have one, you can do all this work without with just a protractor, but it'd be good to have one of these. This is a protractor, and obviously just a basic ruler. Okay, so what are these words that we've been saying? So a perpendicular line is any line that meets another line at 90 degrees. So essentially it makes a perfect square or a nice 90-degree corner. So here I have an example of line AC and BD. And what's happening here is they are intersecting, and their intersection is a 90-degree corner. So I put that little square there to indicate that. Now, there's a way that we can demonstrate that mathematically, and we can use this short form right here, which is this right there. Okay, so I'm saying line AC is perpendicular to line BD. Okay, AC is perpendicular to BC, and that's what that line means. Now, there are two ways that we typically make a perpendicular line, and you can use either method works. It depends on what you have. So the easier one would be using a set square. That would be my preference, just because it is straightforward. And so what you would do is you would use your set square and you would line it up. So I'll make sure you guys can see this. I'm going to put it against the line as best as I can. Okay, and then I just draw my line. And that, unfortunately, has a little extra line right there. That is a perpendicular angle. Okay, so that's one way. Use your set square. Because it has a nice 90-degree corner right here, you can literally just use it like this. That works. All right. Now the other method is using a protractor. Now with the protractor, you can kind of do two different methods. You could go like this and mark down a point on your line that you want to line it up to, and say, okay, I'm going to get a 90-degree corner from this point right here. So I'm going to make sure my intersection is nice and accurate and beautiful. There we are. And then do a little ticky mark, and then line it all up. And there I have a 90-degree corner. That's one method. The quicker method actually would just be to put your protractor down and make it so that the protractor goes along the 90-degree corner. So I'm going to go like this and say, okay, it's all lined up perfectly. That's good. And I'm just going to draw a line. Like this one, I can even use my other hand. And that's now perpendicular. So there's two methods. You can do this method or you can use this method. I think this method's easier, but the easiest one out of all of them would just be having a set square to use wherever that set square went, and just use it like this. Okay, so that's how we make perpendicular lines. There's going to be a temptation to go quickly. I would just make sure you slow it down for just a moment and make sure you're doing it properly. And the last thing that we're going to be talking about is perpendicular bisectors. So what is a bisector first? So a bisector is a line that splits another line perfectly in half. Okay, so I have an example here. Without my perpendicular bisector, I can just talk about bisecting. This line from here to here is 6 centimeters long. That means the halfway point is 3 centimeters. So what I did was I measured 3 centimeters and 3 centimeters, and I put a dot here. This is called a bisector, or it gets called my midpoint. Okay, either one's fine. And so what's happening here is this is my midpoint. Actually, it's not called a bisector. It's just called midpoint. This is my midpoint. If I have a line that passes through my midpoint, it's bisecting the line. Now, if I have a line that is perpendicular to this line, that's called a perpendicular bisector. Okay, so a midpoint is halfway. A bisector intersects at the midpoint, and a perpendicular bisector intersects at the midpoint in a 90-degree angle. Okay, so there's kind of three different words that we learned here. Midpoint's halfway, bisector intersects at the midpoint, because what it does is it bisects, it perfectly splits in half, and then a perpendicular bisector intersects at the midpoint at 90 degrees. Okay, So that's what the second set of pages are. I'm quite confident that this shouldn't be take you terribly long, but please watch this. I hope you watch this video, and I hope you have a good rest of the day. Bye.